All right, we are back with Lieutenant Blake Tabor of the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Department, who also serves as their public information officer. Lieutenant, good to see you.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, we have some more news, and it seems like y'all been pretty busy lately, and never any rest from Mardi Gras or anything else.
No.
It always stays going, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So this particular case we're going to kind of highlight today, of course, happened on February 25th. Shortly before 5:30 p.m., we were called to an address in the 100 block of Mall Circle. Most people know that that's off of Alma, which, it's not an area that we get a lot of calls generated from, So it was a disturbance. We got there. As we were en route, we got some information that two specific gentlemen were either using a rifle to threaten someone at that location or had used it and had tried to get out of the area. So, of course, a vehicle description was given out. Our officers who were responding were able to sort of intercept that vehicle. Ultimately, in the vehicle, there were 3 occupants at the time that we tried to stop it. One suspect fled on foot. We believe that we have him identified at this point, but we're not releasing his name. And then, of course, the other 2 were identified as a Caleb Michael Cooks, a 26-year-old male of Houma. You see him pictured here. And also an Elbert Jamal Moore Jr., who's a 23-year-old male from Houma as well. So, again, as we got there, we began to investigate the matter. It appeared to be that the suspects and the victim did know each other in some capacity. Ultimately, a verbal disturbance ensued where allegedly Mr. Cooks and the male that we believe got away on foot from the traffic stop were the 2 responsible for brandishing the weapons at the victim. That was substantiated by witness accounts at the scene and also some additional evidence that we were able to secure. Ultimately, Mr. Moore was in the middle of this. He was present at the time that the incident was happening, but it is my understanding that at no point in time did he brandish a weapon or use a weapon to threaten anyone. But it's pretty clear at this point that the ownership of those weapons is sort of leaning in the direction of Mr. Moore. So ultimately, after that investigation was complete, Mr. Cooks was arrested on several charges, which include illegal carrying of a weapon in the presence of a CDS, possession with the intent to distribute a CDS-5, and aggravated assault with a firearm. He's currently incarcerated on a $125,000 bond by local judges. And then Mr. Moore was also arrested for illegal carrying of a weapon in the presence of CDS and also possession with intent to distribute a CDS-5. He is currently jailed on a $75,000 bond. It's important to add that as a response of this particular investigation, that led to a search warrant being obtained for the vehicle. It's my understanding that at least one firearm was in plain view when they stopped the vehicle. But ultimately, our process is we secure a search warrant. Once we did that, we were able to find a rifle that was consistent with the description of the one used, and also a handgun that matched that. And also there was a multitude of ammunition within that vehicle as well, along with some illegal narcotics-based liquid that ultimately led to the distribution charges.
Let me ask you first, Lieutenant, because I see the ages again. It always strikes me when we're doing these stories and the ages of 23, 26. Sometimes you've been up here, they've been 18 and
Absolutely.
19 and 20 years old. But are y'all seeing as deputies just a lot more guns out there than we saw 20 years ago when you were riding on the beat? We saw some guns, but
Sure.
not a bunch. It just seems like every time y'all come up now, we're talking about guns. Are y'all seeing a lot of that?
We do. Of course, we kind of refer back to Mardi Gras this year when we were on with Harry last week, and we talked about the fact that we recovered only 5 firearms during Mardi Gras, whereas the year before that, I think it was north of 20. So, it's kind of...
That was encouraging.
Yeah, it's kind of consistent with that, but what is the real reason for that? Is it that we've educated the public and people are feeling that maybe they should not bring firearms to Mardi Gras parades because it's going to ultimately lead to something bad? Or is it that they're just getting smarter? Mm-hmm. When we see these young people here, it seems like it's more disturbing because the younger they are, the more intent they are on carrying a firearm. And it's disturbing, it's alarming, but it's something we're very aware of and we're very proactive about.
Is it something in the younger community? I remember when we were growing up, everybody wanted their own identity,
Sure.
but you did it in a different way, you know, by the car you drove or
Absolutely.
just the clothes you wore. They all seem to have their own style of weapons, and they sort of put signatures on them now, engravements on them, a different thing. Is that their identity now? A lot of these young kids?
Well, and I think a lot of this could be is the trendy thing. You know, I mean, we talk about social media all the time, Martin, right? And
Yeah.
you are constantly seeing things on firearms and handguns and people shooting them for recreation, which we are absolutely in favor of. In no way, shape, or form are we saying that people, you know, law-abiding citizens should not own weapons.
That's right.
But, you know, there are a lot more tactical variations for weapons that are out there. So there's a lot more producing of those particular things for weapons now. And so you can kind of customize them the way you want. The important thing that we want people to know is the vast majority of these guns that we're finding on the street are coming from vehicle burglaries and residential burglaries.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, we reiterate this constantly. Lock your vehicles at night. It would alarm you if you knew how many people that are suspects in these burglary cases are going out specifically looking for guns. They're no longer looking for money. They'll take it. They're not looking for the electronics devices like they used to. Guns are the hot commodity now.
All right. First Lieutenant, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. First Lieutenant Blake Tabor, we'll be back with more.